The old Victorian house at the end of Willow Lane had been abandoned for decades. Its windows were shattered, its paint peeled, and its garden overgrown with thorny vines. But to Emma it was perfect. A young couple looking for a fresh start, she and her husband Mark had bought the house for a steal, eager to renovate it into their dream home. As they moved in, Emma couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. The air was heavy and the walls seemed to whisper when the wind blew through the cracks. Mark dismissed her unease, blaming it on the stress of the move. But Emma knew better. Something was wrong. One night, as Emma unpacked boxes in the nursery, she heard a faint cry. It was soft, almost imperceptible, like the whimper of a child. She froze, her heart pounding. "Mark!" she called out, but he was downstairs hammering away at a loose floorboard. The cry came again, louder this time, echoing from the corner of the room. Emma approached cautiously, her breath shallow. In the corner, she found an old, dusty doll. Its porcelain face was cracked and its glassy eyes stared blankly at her. The cry seemed to come from it, but that was impossible. She picked it up and the crying stopped. The room fell silent. That night, Emma dreamed of a child, a little girl with pale skin and hollow eyes. She stood at the foot of Emma's bed, her tiny hands clutching the doll. "Mummy," the girl whispered, her voice trembling. "Why didn't you want me?" Emma woke in a cold sweat, her heart racing. She glanced at the nursery door, which stood slightly ajar. The doll was gone. Over the next few days, the cries grew louder, more desperate. Mark couldn't hear them, no matter how hard Emma begged him to listen. He grew frustrated, accusing her of imagining things. But Emma knew the truth. The house was haunted by the spirit of an unborn child, a little girl who had never been given a chance to live. One evening, Emma found the doll sitting in the rocking chair, its head tilted as if watching her. The air grew icy, and the walls seemed to close in around her. "What do you want?" Emma whispered, her voice trembling. The doll's head snapped up, its glassy eyes locking onto hers. "I want to be born," it said in a voice that was not its own. Emma stumbled back, her heart pounding. The room spun, and she felt a sharp pain in her abdomen. She collapsed to the floor, clutching her stomach. When Mark found her, she was unconscious, her hands covered in blood. He rushed her to the hospital, but it was too late. The doctors said she had suffered a miscarriage, though Emma had never even known she was pregnant. They moved out of the house soon after, but Emma could never escape the feeling of being watched. Sometimes, in the dead of night, she would hear a faint cry, and she would know the unborn child was still waiting, still longing for a mother who would never come. And in the old Victorian house, the doll sat in the nursery, its glassy eyes staring at the door, waiting for someone to return.